Hello again and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian, the Ranger at Heart. Brian, how in God's name are you today?
I'm having just a little fantastic day today.
Well, you know what, Brian? If you need to watch more of the Sports Box, which I always encourage, you can always catch us at the following stations.
Well, you can definitely check us on Twitter, at SportsBox Show. We're on Facebook, at SportsBox Show. And apparently what everybody is doing is subscribing to the Sports Box. So if you take a look on your Windows or your Apple screen right now, you'll see where it says subscribe now in the top right. Let me just give you a second to find that and go ahead and subscribe to the Sports Box.
And make sure that you always check out our sponsor, DJ Cruz, a.k.a. Anthony Cruz, for all your DJ party needs. Give him a call, 609-513-6395. Brian, going to kick off a little Eagles today?
Yeah, so we're going to do a little post-mortem on the local football team. Yep. We have a special guest on the show. Our WWE fans know and love Anthony Marella. Mr. Marella, how are you doing on this fine day?
I am doing very well. Like I said, I wish we were talking about the Eagles postseason game, but that's not happening this year.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that. I was able to find on StubHub that someone is selling 3 tickets to the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia for only $2,000 each. They were the only 3 seats available, though.
Can I get it right now?
They might be hard to get. Yeah. I think parking might be easy, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have the right date. Is that for 2020?
It's a good one. I like that. So here we are at the end of an Eagles season that started off like a bat out of hell and ended decently, but was mired in some high levels of mediocrity throughout. Doug Pederson's first year, Carson Wentz's first year. What stands out to you, I guess, primarily about Doug Pederson in his first year as an NFL head coach?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not a lot. He had his moments, especially in the beginning, those first 3 games, and it kind of just whirlwind from there. I didn't like his play calling. I think, if anything, moving forward, he should focus kind of the way Jason Garrett does in Dallas. Focus primarily on being a motivator, being a head coach, being a guy, a coach that the guys like to come to. I would hand all play calling duties over to either Frank Reich or the quarterback coach, John Filippo. Let them handle it. I don't think he did a very good job in certain situations, and I understand there's a learning curve in the NFL. But again, he was an offensive coordinator with Kansas City. This isn't something that is new to him. Maybe he was just trying to juggle too much. I think he really needs to stick with being a head coach, not necessarily an offensive play caller.
You know, you go to the offseason, Anthony, and a lot of fans out there obviously angry right now and upset at the Eagles for, not making the playoffs and I don't know about taking a step back, but doing the same thing they did last year. So my question to you is, where do you go in the draft in the way of your big needs and then your free agents? I'm thinking more of a free agency in a wide receiver to come in and give them a little bit of stability, which they don't have a really good receiver. I mean, Jordan Matthews is their #1 guy, but he's more of a slot receiver. And then do you look to draft maybe a defensive back up front, or do you look to go offensive line first in the draft?
You know what? Since you touched on it, this is 8 straight years now that we haven't had a playoff win. And it's just, like you said, it's like last year again, but it's actually like the last 8 years.
Yeah.
But really, what they need to do is, and Howie Roseman said, we need to get to 13-3. Well, guess what? You're not going to go from 7-9 and jump straight to 13-3, and you have to build through the draft. You have to, in my opinion, take the best players available, no matter what position. It does look like it could be defensive back this year. It's a very strong defensive back class. I wouldn't mind a safety. Malcolm Jenkins is getting older, but cornerback is the primary target, and this is one of the best drafts in recent years for cornerbacks. I think you could see them go that way in the first round. I also wouldn't mind them going with a guy like Dalvin Cook, the running back from Florida State, whether Brian wants to kind of side that or not. I also wouldn't mind them trading back. If it's such a good quarterback class, you can trade back. You can essentially get 2 of them for the price of 1. But one thing.
Yeah, but I also think, Anthony, you can't roll the dice with that and move back again and try to, bolster things. Bolster something like that when you need a cornerback now. If there's a cornerback there in the draft that you can get that's a solid player that like you said will help you now. I don't think you move back and take a couple different people to get that need. I think a cornerback is definitely the move this year, and leave the offensive line intact. Even bring back Jason Peters, because you're going to have to pay a guy anyway. He did a decent job last year. Run him until you die, and then I think cornerback is definitely the move.
Well, yeah, you're right. The Eagles need playmakers all over the field, offensively, defensively.
Right.
They need standouts. They need stars. They need a guy like Earl Thomas. They need a guy like Richard Sherman. They need somebody, and I'm not coincidentally just naming Seahawks, but they need somebody there that's going to be shut down, that's going to make plays for them. A guy like Marcus Peters in Kansas City, somebody along those lines. They do need playmakers. The Carson Wentz move, they did get the first-round pick back from that they were supposed to miss this year, but they still are losing. They still lost a few of those picks. They're going to lose a second-round pick next year. I think it could be in their best interest to move back to being maybe another second-round pick, and then you can take, to say, a corner, a running back, and a wide receiver. I think I wouldn't go wide receiver early unless a stud like Mike Williams falls to them at 14 or 15, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I happen to agree with you a lot in what you said there, Anthony. I think it makes a lot of sense for a team with a lot of holes to get as many picks as possible. And if you look at what New England does every year, they're always trading back. They're always giving themselves more chances to get players that they want. You mentioned
a lot of that, Brian, not to cut you off, but a lot of that is because they can.
Sure, no, I understand entirely, but if you say that it's such a strong draft at secondary, then is there going to be that much difference between, say, the 4th or 5th ranked corner and the 8th or 9th ranked corner? Is it enough where, if we like 3 or 4 guys, do you want to trade back a couple spots because we know that one of them is going to be there for us? That's kind of the mentality I think a team in the Eagles' position should take, is to do everything they can to surround a guy like Carson Wentz, a franchise quarterback in the making, with as much talent as possible. And you mentioned them going wide receiver. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that, only because they've put so many resources into drafting wide receivers in recent years. If you look back, obviously the Nelson Aguilar pick has all the looks of a tire fire and a half. The Jordan Matthews pick has worked out okay, but they just don't seem. Not only should they not pick a wide receiver because they have, but they've also failed at it miserably, repeatedly, where they just can't seem to get a guy who can come in, and I'm not talking like the A.J. Greens of the world here either, because I'm not going to be high enough to take a guy like that, but you look at, they just don't seem to be able to identify wide receiver talent in the draft historically. So I don't necessarily know that that's their best course of action.
And Anthony, I'll ask you another quick question off of what Brian's saying here. If they do move back and take a couple picks and move back to the 2nd, 3rd round, how much confidence do you have in this team drafting 3rd and 4th round picks that are going to even make an impact? Not a big impact, but any kind of impact on this team, because track record shows it hasn't been done.
Well, you're right, and I will say that that's to be seen. That remains to be seen, because Joe Douglas, who came over from the Ravens in Chicago, he is now in charge of, he's the vice president of player personnel currently. He will be in charge of the draft board. He will be in charge of the draft. Howie Roseman has said that he will have final say, but it's really Joe Douglas' draft, and I guess Howie's just going to kind of take what he says and then run with it. So I'm happy in the sense that there's going to be somebody else monitoring the draft better. So I don't know what kind of confidence I have. I mean, historically, yeah, I don't have any, but for a little, I should say. Especially our track record with defensive backs as of late. But you talk about Jaquan, you're talking about Curtis Marsh, Jack Zablana. I mean, just people you just kind of throw out there like Sue. But hopefully Joe Douglas is the guy to kind of right the ship on draft day.
And you bring up Howie Roseman. I think Roseman's finest moment came obviously when he was able to get a first-round pick for Sam freaking Bradford. I don't think that anybody's going to say that was any way, shape, or form a negative for the Eagles.
No,
so
that was absolutely great.
Just phenomenal job by him. But if you look at kind of the moves that he had made following Chip Kelly's departure to pretty much jettison everybody who had the Chip Kelly sticker on their forehead, if you will, I think the one guy, and it's funny that I'm going to be the one that says this for anybody who knows me personally, but the one guy who I think that they probably regret letting go of is DeMarco Murray, because they really had trouble with the running game. They finished 11th in the league in rushing, but I don't necessarily know that if I had asked you to where you thought they finished, that you would think it would be that high. But their leading rusher, who has 661 yards, in Ryan Matthews. Of the guys that Roseman got rid of from the Chip Kelly era,
okay,
would you agree that that Murray is probably the one that they wish they didn't let get away? And do you look back on any of that were any of those wrong moves in your opinion?
I disagree. I think that they got the first pick in the 4th round because they basically swapped fourths with Tennessee. Who knows? That could have been a huge sticking point with Cleveland because they wind up dealing that pick anyway. DeMarco Murray wasn't really. I know he wasn't a fit for Chip Kelly's offense. Listen, that was a lot of money. If you had the opportunity to let him, to trade him to another team that was willing to take on that cap and the problems he had last year, fine, go ahead and do it. I think, if anything, the one move that we're kind of regretting from the Chip Kelly days, and I don't count Jeremy Maclin because he was a free agent. He was welcome to go wherever he wanted. But probably LaShawn McCoy. I think LaShawn McCoy still is a better back than DeMarco Murray. And Deshaun Jackson, I wouldn't really lump into that even because, like I said, he's 31 years old now. That's not somebody you're really growing with. LaShawn was younger, and he's still one of the best backs in the league. So if anything, I would say it's LaShawn that we're regretting most.
See, on the other side of that, Anthony, I think the biggest move that they had was letting Maclin go. It was over $1 million, and you would have brought in a guy who's a veteran wide receiver who can give a little bit of stability to a wide receiving core right now who can't get out of their own way right now. I mean, you're giving all this money to Ertz, who, although he came on at the end of the year and had a lot of catches, he really is not getting any kind of yards after the catch. So you're paying money to a tight end who's supposedly getting paid like a top 7 tight end in the league, and he's not really giving you numbers. So, like I said, my thing is Jeremy Maclin, I think, was a bigger loss more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of just meant that he was a free agent. He was welcome to go wherever he wanted. Zach Ertz, I think, is a guy that they wanted to be here long term to kind of develop a rapport with Carson Wentz.
They rolled the dice. Yep.
Yeah, they did. And listen, Zach does this every year. Gosh, I'm saying it like we're on a first name basis, but Zach Ertz does this every year.
Yep.
He starts slow. He ends the year on a hot note. I'm hoping maybe with a quarterback that is actually here more than 1 year, he's able to kind of continue that into next year and start a lot hotter out of the gate than he has in the past.
I guess the last thing I have for you. I'm sorry.
I don't mind the Zach Ertz contract. I think it's definitely, we're a team that needs as many weapons as we possibly can get, and he can be a weapon. I just think he's just a slow starter and needs to really pick up out of the gate.
So the last thing I have for you here, I'm going to talk a little about Carson Wentz, obviously the storyline of the Eagles season. A couple of weeks ago, right in the middle of this, we had NewJersey.com's Mark Eckel on, and he had mentioned that the Eagles receiving core was the worst set of receivers he's ever seen in NFL history. So, I mean, he might be a little over the top there, but Wentz finishes the year a little bit under 4,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, a QBR of 55.4. Obviously, after the first 3 games, it wasn't just him. The whole team really saw a downtick overall, in how they were playing. So when you look at the season as an entirety and how, Wentz did tail off. There's a couple of things that can be attributed to it. I'm curious to see which one or a couple you think it is. Is it because he just didn't really get better as the season went on? So is it his fault? Is it that the play calling was way too vanilla? Is it Pederson's fault? Is it that their receivers couldn't catch a cold the entire year? Is it the receiver's fault? Or do you see this being a pleasant mix of all 3 of these things, which explains why his hot start for the most part, largely petered off.
You writing this down, Anthony?
No, I memorized it. But I was going to say, before you gave me the option D, I was going to say option D, all of the above. He hit the rookie wall kind of in the middle. I think the play calling also wasn't in his favor because a lot of those games they were getting behind, they were forced to throw a lot. And when you're forced to throw a lot, more times than not, and you're trying to make a play, you're going to make a mistake. I also think his receivers were obviously less than ideal. That's not groundbreaking news or anything. I think Carson Wentz needs a little bit more of. He would have benefited from a good ground attack like that Dak Prescott has.
Mm-hmm. Best in the league.
If they can get somebody in here next year that can kind of shoulder the load a little bit and take some of that pressure off of him, either it be a wide receiver or a better running game, primarily both, then you'll see Carson Wentz a little bit more comfortable. And you got to remember, he didn't start that many games in college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's pretty fresh, and he's got a lot to learn. And I'm really hoping that having two former NFL quarterbacks and having a whole entire offseason to work on the offense and be with his teammates and everything, that'll really help his learning curve, so to speak. And you'll see an even better Carson Wentz next year. I don't doubt it at all that he's going to be a lot better next year.
Well, we will see. The Eagles actually denied John DeFilippo an interview with the Jets, so that's a good sign for Carson Wentz to keep that, the offense intact there and the coordinator intact. So we will see. We will see what the Eagles
They did that last year with Corey Unlin, and Unlin had said that he was going to potentially go to San Francisco with Chip Kelly.
Yep.
But I honestly don't think he ever really wanted to. I think he could have used it a little bit as a little bit to his advantage. He got a little bit more money out of it to stay as secondary coach. I know they didn't want him to leave.
Right.
But I think he did have an opportunity, and then the Eagles said, no, we'll give you a little bit more money to stay. I know his family loves the area and everything, so it was a good fit. So hopefully it's kind of the same situation with DeFilippo.
Well, we will see. It's a very interesting Eagles offseason. So that's all the time we have. We want to thank our guest, as always, Anthony Marella, to get on the phone in a short notice and give us a little insight on the Eagles. Anthony, thank you very much, as usual.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad I can do your Swiss Army knife of wrestling and Eagles and anything else you can talk about.
It's your pleasure, absolutely. So, Brian, make sure you tell the people where we can get reached at if they want to check out more of the Sports Box.
Absolutely. Twitter at Sports Box Show, Facebook at Sports Box Show. You can email us at thesportsboxshow@gmail.com, and of course YouTube, where you can subscribe to all of our channels. And you know what? We're not going to be like the Eagles front office and kick people out of the the press box. We want you to follow us here on the Sports Box. We're not going to in any way, shape, or form negatively affect you. We want you to follow and really enjoy everything we have here. We're not going to kick you out. So, Anthony, for your sake, I hope they pay more attention to their draft picks than that sort of thing. That's for sure.
So are you going to hang up on me and kind of kick me out?
It just never freaking ends here at the Sports Box.
You did not violate the Sports Box Code of Conduct, so you're going to be just fine.
Don't get security on me.
All right, anyway, we want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Keep an eye out. We got good stuff coming. Remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Thanks for watching. See you.
Don't forget to subscribe.